This is a portrait of my grandfather, and this particular piece of art is a very important piece. It means a lot to our family. So this guy, his name is Arturo Junio, and he actually passed away when my mom and her sisters were really quite young, so I never got the chance to meet him. But I do feel a really strong tie to the Junio name, which is this guy's last name. And Junio is representative of all the really strong women that I have in my life. So my grandmother actually raised 4 daughters pretty much by herself, and she took all 4 of those daughters and they all came to Canada. So it's a really empowering story, and I have such a strong connection to the Junio name because it represents just how strong we are and how awesome our family is. So what I wanted to do is that I wanted to make a gift for my grandmother. Before we get into the gift making, I wanted to talk a little bit about this portrait. So in the Filipino culture, we do these things called offerings, and offerings are very similar to the Disney Pixar movie Coco. So what happens is that on Christmas, New Year's, or birthday parties, or any type of celebration, we would present gifts and food to our loved ones who have passed away. And it's just really important for us because we're inviting these spirits to celebrate with us. So usually on Christmas, New Year's, or any type of celebration, my grandmother is like, here's some food, can you please bring this to Lolo? And then us, as the kids, we would take the food and place it at the altar or the shrine, I guess. And yeah, that's basically how we invite our loved ones back to celebrate with us. If you haven't seen the movie Coco, I would highly recommend watching it. It does a really good job of kind of explaining the whole aspect of providing offerings for your loved ones who have passed. And I just think it's a really cool aspect of my culture. So my project for this week is to try and scan this photo and engrave it on a piece of wood. So what I'm gonna do is I'm first going to scan it using this fancy scanner and then upload it onto my laptop. And from there, I'm going to put it into Photoshop and try to erase unnecessary features and to increase the contrast. And from there, I'm going to take that photo and bring it to the laser cutters at work. And then I'm going to try my best to laser cut this portrait on a piece of wood. So I'm going to show you what that process looks like, and hopefully by the end of the week, I can give this gift to my grandmother. The first part of this project is to scan this portrait. This portrait was drawn in pencil, and it's several decades old, so I was being very careful when taking it out of the frame. From there, I cleaned off the surface of my scanner with a microfiber cloth, and then I placed the portrait down and scanned it to my computer. This scanner is a V600 photo scanner, and I use it to scan my film negatives. I like to shoot film photography every now and then, and I really like having the ability to scan my negatives myself. I also use this scanner to scan the photos that my parents took when I was a really small kid, and I use it really often when scanning my sheet music for piano and violin. After the scan was complete, I saved the photo as a JPEG, and I brought that JPEG into Photoshop. Once I was in Photoshop, I used the brush tool to paint the background as red. From there, I deleted the red layer to completely erase the background. And the reason why I did this is because I didn't want the laser cutter to get confused with all the shades that were appearing in the background. All I wanted the laser cutter to do was focus on the portrait itself, and to do that, I erased all the unnecessary features that were in the background. After preparing my files in Photoshop, I took my files to the Elko engineering garage and loaded them onto the computer by the universal laser cutters. If you don't know what a laser cutter is, it's basically when you shoot lasers at a piece of material, and then the lasers will burn through that material to either cut it or engrave onto it. Because of that, it's really important to have a spray bottle of water with you while you're cutting, just in case there's a chance of fire. It's also very important to have the exhaust systems on to ensure that there's enough ventilation so that we can prevent fires as much as possible. After turning on the exhaust, I prepare my file by using something called one-touch photo. One-touch photo basically reads any type of photo that you put into the system, and it turns that photo into a code that will communicate with the laser and tell the laser where to cut and where to engrave. After doing that, I measure my stock, which is just a scrap piece of plywood, and then I scale my photo to make sure that it will fit on my material. After completing all of these steps, I put my material into the laser cutter and start the cut. After the cut was complete, I took my material to the back and used the bandsaw to cut off the excess material at the bottom of the portrait. And then I used some sandpaper to sand down the rough edges before taking it over to my grandma's house to drop it off. My grandma really enjoyed this gift, and my entire family thought it was super cool. I'm really proud of myself for learning how to use all of these tools, and I'm proud of all the progress I've made this semester. I've become really confident with all the machines at the Elko Engineering Garage, and I'm really proud of myself for being able to take an idea and turn it into reality. With that said, we've come to the end of this video, so thank you so much for watching and for supporting my channel. If you'd like to see more videos, be sure to subscribe, and I would also appreciate if you leave a comment down below and like this video. Thanks again for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.